Hello, everybody. It is session module number 4. I'm here on the road and I am speaking about loving your dark passenger. First of all, I just wanted to tell you, if you've been following so far, what's been going on. By now, you've noticed some dramatic transformations in your life. You've noticed the difference between the days when you are doing your morning rituals, you are shifting who you are being, you've noticed the environment around you has shifted, and as you've been restoring integrity to the list of people in your social structures, you've noticed amazing dramatic transformations. So you can't go this far. I mean, we're just almost past the hump. And, you've had breakdowns, you've had breakthroughs, you've had amazing realizations, aha moments. It's just, I'm grateful that you're on this journey with me. And I wanted to share this next piece as a part that's very near and dear to my heart. I'm going to get real. I'm going to get vulnerable to show you that there's a light and a dark within all of us, and it's not for you to actually. The whole point of this module is to show you there's not any parts of you that you need to try to get rid of. That you have a light and a dark side, just like everybody around you, and you will be most powerful when you can embrace both sides. And so, as I continue to work on loving my shadow, I become more expansive in my power, my freedom, my self-expression, and I'm going to invite you to do the same and to look at yourself from a completely different lens. So let's get the screen share going, and let's get this rocking. And boom, let's do it. Awesome. Okay, so here we go. We are now powerfully aligned, working towards this whole concept. I mean, by now you get that being powerfully aligned is a state of being. Yes, I'm a chiropractor, so I really appreciate a good alignment. But what I saw, within my practice, was that the patients who were coming in with the same physical health issues, it was a state of mind that was causing it. So once they got themselves connected to a mission and a vision that's near and dear to their hearts, that's connected with their values, and they were living according to that rather than trying to be somebody else, and rather than seeking approval, we're really just living according to that, and consistently doing necessary work on themselves, they would heal. They would have dramatic shifts in their body and their mind and in their life. So this is really what you're doing. Consider yourself, a question that you can ask as you're moving forward is, am I powerfully aligned at this moment? And it's kind of like the way that the description that I have is that in my practice, I see a lot of police officers. And so they come in as civilians versus when they come in as in uniform are two completely different people. They come as their civilian selves, in their regular street clothes, and they're just regular people. When they wear that uniform, they walk differently, they speak differently, they give different eye contact. It's as though they are changing who they're being when they put on the uniform. It's a really neat thing to observe. And I just want you to look at this thing as this process as the exact same thing. So by the time you leave your home in the morning to take on your day, it's wise for you to decide who you're going to be. And it's like, with this awareness, you can put on that uniform, but that uniform is completely you. It's not you pretending to be anybody else. It's 100% powerful you who is there as a stand and service for others. All right, so here we go. Conquering rejection and loving your dark passenger. Pardon the spelling. That was from my VA. I just missed that. And restoring integrity with you. This is a perfect time to call yourself out as a perfect lesson about restoring integrity. I didn't look at that spelling mistake in, I just bypassed that as I was doing my my edits from my virtual assistant. So, I take full responsibility. And the impact of that is complete humiliation when you're doing your webinar live for your students to see, and that completely lacks integrity. And I'm creating a possibility of being diligent and checking all of my work. So that's how I restore integrity with you. It's a perfect segue, by the way, of what the lesson is all about. Recapping from session 3. First and foremost, you know the days where you perform your morning rituals and the days that you don't. Kind of take a moment to notice, and by now you'll see. So it kind of gets you, when you fall off the horse, fall off the wagon, you know that tomorrow is a new day and you can start powerfully again. What do you notice in the days where you're connected to your mission and purpose and the days that you aren't? For me, it's night and day, which inspires me each day to actually take a look and to do the work. And at this stage of the game, you're wise to start asking, so what resentments am I still holding on to? What regrets? And these are the ones that you really work on with your coach, with myself, with your coaches, whoever is working with you, with your accountability partner. By now, you'll understand that it's just a story. It's just a complaint. You're now catching yourself mid-complaint. When something's going wrong, when something's pissing you off, it's a complaint that you're holding on to. And it's now really up to you to be the cause in the matter to transform it. So you do the necessary work and take the action steps and stay in action. So the next question you want to do as a recap is to understand, so what's been the result of me restoring integrity to relationships that have been incomplete? The unspoken words. I mean, if you did the homework from last session, you'll know from the last module, you should have this feeling of expansion, of love, of connection, of bonding. You realize that your life is all about relationships and the conversations within the relationship. So if there's any brokenness within any relationships of your past, it's wise for you to take the rest of this time and the rest of your life and clean that up and move forward so that you feel freedom. You don't have any regrets. You don't have any fears of going anywhere or running into anybody because you're complete with everybody. There's a tremendous sense of freedom that you feel, and I want that for all of you. If you haven't done it, please get in that list in your social structures and really go through that list from what we did last time and continually be working on restoring integrity using the conversation, the restoring integrity conversation from last session. That memorize that, and it'll be used consistently, as you saw me doing earlier with the spelling mistake. It's consistent. So really, integrity really is doing what you say you're going to do when you say it, and doing what you say you're going to do when you say it. It's really doing it when you're, it's all about doing what you say when you say it, holding to your word. And that's what integrity is all about. So this picture, by the way, is my hometown. If you guys ever have a chance to come to Vancouver, that's the seawall, and up in the left corner there, that's Prospect Point. You got to come and check it out. It's beautiful here. So as human beings, we're perfectly imperfect. Being powerfully aligned basically means restoring integrity whenever you fall out. If you're playing a bigger game consistently and you're stretching yourself and expanding, you're putting more on your plate, it means to restore integrity when you fall out of integrity. I mean, I had to do it this weekend. I overbooked myself because I'm playing a bigger game, and it's about restoring that integrity and moving forward. By staying in integrity with the commitments in your life, you'll find yourself staying in integrity with others more. It is a very powerful place to be when you Your word is your bond, and when others can count on you doing what you say when you're going to do it, that's really what integrity is all about. Now, we all have both darkness and light within us. Regardless of your attempt to try to be positive, if you recall from our very first session, from our very first module, you saw that there is a duality present. So that duality you see everywhere. You've noticed support and challenge at work, at home. You're constantly getting both sides. And you're going to notice that you're going to have a positive side and a negative side within you. And most times what we do when we do therapies or counseling or we feel depression, it's like we're trying to get rid of our shadow. We're trying to get rid of our dark side. So we got to try. Today is about understanding what your dark passenger is here to do, why you have that shadow, and how can we clear that. And first of all, what is your dark passenger? It's the part of you that you hate, that are ashamed of, and are working hard to avoid. And it's got two parts. It's got a voice and an expression. And there's a video in the module that you are wise to take a look at, that from the home study course, the Overview Method home study course, home study program, that really explains the voice and the expression of the dark passenger quite well. It's got two parts, a voice and an expression. Well, first of all, the whole concept of the dark passenger comes from my love for the TV series Dexter, where he had a dark passenger, this part of him. He was a serial killer, but a real great family guy. He had two parts to him. He's this amazing family man, sweet. He's in for justice. He's a policeman, so he really is all about catching bad guys, but he has this dark passenger, which is this little voice inside of him that really just needed to be killing something. And so he also happened to have this expression, which was a murderer, a serial killer. So you've got two parts to you, a voice. The dark passenger's got two parts, a voice and an expression. So the voices of the dark passenger are as follows. They basically is the part of you when it says, I'm not good enough, I'm not enough, I'm stupid, I'm broken, I'm a bad person, I'm not worthy of love. And that shadow, that little voice, is with you all the time. In fact, if you've been doing this work consistently, when you first started, you probably noticed that dark passenger was extremely loud. In other words, was in the driver's seat. And as you do the work, that voice doesn't go away, but that dark passenger, instead of being in the driver's seat, is asleep in the back. So if you've noticed, let me repeat that. If you've been doing the work in the beginning of this program, your dark passenger was in the driver's seat. And if you've been following, then the dark passenger is asleep in the back. But it doesn't mean he's never going to get up and drive the car again. That's not how it works. It's very likely that he will many times throughout your life. I'm here to not get rid of it or shoot it or kill it, because Dexter says the only way to the only way to get rid of the dark passenger is to take out the driver. In other words, you got to kill yourself in order to get rid of the dark passenger, because it's always going to be there. So be present to the fact and really relax in the knowing that this dark passenger will always be there. And it's that little voice, I'm not good enough, I'm not enough, I'm stupid, I'm broken, that's constantly there. So the expressions of the dark passenger, when you hear I'm not enough, then you turn to these behavioral responses, these expressions of the dark passenger, and take a look at any of these behavioral responses. Drinking, smoking, shopping, pornography, gambling, drama, depression. Maybe you have a chronic fatigue or an illness. Maybe you have a digestive problem, food sensitivity, irritable bowel that just keeps showing up and kind of coming at you. And these times you thought, oh, I thought I'm cured, and here it is again. Well, I'm here to tell you it's always going to be there, either in its full expression or asleep in the back. And I'm here to show you how to recognize what the signs are and what to do about it. That's really the key, is that you're going to notice the little secret is that it's a call to action. So these are not who you are. These expressions aren't who you are. There are, this person is not an addict, is not an alcoholic. That's not who they are. It's just that their dark passenger's taken over, and nobody really took the time to train or educate, or they didn't really understand how to manage the dark passenger. So really, this is what we're going to do: how to find your dark passenger. So really, I want you to take a moment and write this down in the PDF, in the document. What behavior, what traits do you hate the most about yourself? And what parts of you do you never want anyone to see? I look at myself, my dark passenger, very, 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 very profound ego. It's got narcissism all over it, this attention seeking, selfish, egotistical. It's all about me, completely narcissistic. Really, that's just my attention seeking. That's when my dark passenger's coming out to play. It's me doing attention seeking behaviors that are just so irritating. I just look at it and I'm so embarrassed. And it's generally the feedback that your loved ones are giving you. That's the ones closest to you. You think it's hidden. You think they don't see it, but it's plain as day to your loved ones. Just like your family, the people around you, your kids, your spouse, your parents, whoever, what their dark passenger is very readily. You'll say it. Sometimes you will identify them with their dark passenger. They're always this way. They're always that way. You're just basically listing what their dark passenger traits are, and you've attributed them to that as that person. And so you just realize they're not one side either. That's just their shadow. So get to know what that is. And the next one, you want to really see where it comes from. And so you're going to do that with this exercise. You're going to go to the list of your greatest resentments. Think of what was going on. And then you want to, in the scene, in the happening of what your greatest resentment was. This is usually what's come out in your overview sessions, in the one-on-one sessions. The greatest emotional charge. Was it a guilt? Was it an abuse, a trauma? And so what happened? How old were you? We've gone through this in the sessions, but the most important part is, what feelings and interpretations did you make out of it? And it's usually an I am statement. I am not good enough. I am not worthy of love. And that, my friends, is especially the earliest memory. Your earliest memory where there was a major event that happened. That's when you made an interpretation and a meaning out of it, which starts with, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of love. And now you have the voice of your dark passenger. That's where it came from. Just like in the show Dexter, it happened when he was 3, when he witnessed his mother die. And that was the birth of his dark passenger. So what do we do with that? Well, you got to understand, you're not here to just be happy. We're here for a mission and a purpose. Okay, why is that dark passenger there? Well, in order to fulfill what we're here to do, we require both our light and our shadow selves to be most effective. You don't really realize it, but your dark side brings with it a strong, competitive, passionate, warrior, sensual, risky, explorative energy, which lends well to help inspire expansion. In other words, you are where you are today. The incredible parts of you are in no small part because of your dark passenger, that monster side of you. The light side of you brings comfort, cooperation, peace, safety, support. You have that angelic side, you have a saint, and you have the sinner. So if I look at myself and my narcissism and selfishness and ego, you would not be here participating in this life-changing program. And if it wasn't for me having the belief in myself, the ego part of me, the narcissism, the desire for the attention seeking, the part of me that really wants to get recognition, the part of me that really just loves to be loved and admired by so many people all over the world. oh my goodness. And I look at my mission and it's happening. I get invited to speak and inspire people in different stages all over on platforms all over the world. And it's because of my dark passenger. It's because of that ego part of me. I I've learned, it's because of my arrogance. I've learned that, not to run from my shadow, because that part of me, that dark part of me, gave me the courage to step past my imposter syndrome in order to have the belief in myself to stand here today and speak powerfully to you so that you can transform your life. The secret is not to get rid of your shadow, but it's to use your shadow to serve other people. So, in other words, I'm using my narcissism and ego and desire to be liked and admired by people all over the world so that I can then transfer information through a computer, through the internet, and you, as a student, listen and take it in and do the work and love yourself and to heal and to transform and to make a difference in your neck of the woods. So if it wasn't for my shadow, you wouldn't be doing the work to love your own shadow and make a difference in your community. See how it works? If I was just the one side, the light side with comfort, cooperation, I didn't have any competitiveness to me, I didn't have any desire for fame or recognition, I wouldn't have done the necessary work to push past the daily resistance it takes to complete this, and the expense to invest in myself and into this program, to have, a team, to hire a team and assistants and back end work, and all of that stuff has happened because of my shadow. So I love my shadow. Thank God for my shadow. But when I stop doing certain things, and which I'm gonna share with you in a moment, that shadow freaking takes over. It gets ugly. So what do we do when that happens? But first and foremost, let me take it back here. You're not here to be happy. You're not here for that. You're going to have happiness and sadness. Happy, sad, duality. You're going to have nice and mean, kind and cruel, support and challenge. The whole purpose is to be on purpose, is to create meaning out of an empty and meaningless life, to create meaning so that you have some way to go out and make a difference and connect with other people, so that when you pass away, you can look back and say, wow, I made a difference. There was some purpose behind my temporary experience on planet Earth. And by the way, just a side note, I'm grateful that you're on this journey with me on this planet, and that I'm able to reach out and make a difference thanks to my shadow, and then see the transformation in you. So I just want to tell you how grateful I am. I truly, I got to tell you, I love each and every client that I work with. I get to know your earlier pre-ality scenes, and so I get very intimate, which is another part of my dark passenger, which, the desire for intimacy, like you can call it an addiction, or if I really have this strong compulsion to be admired and loved by, let's say, women, and get intimate, and maybe I have some sort of an affinity to, whatever your addiction is. If I have an addiction to sexuality, it's not to get rid of it, it's to use that in a way that transforms other people. So when I'm getting intimate with my clients, on the phone during sessions, there's vulnerability, there's me probing, there's me becoming aggressive and getting intimate, and then there's a release, a mindgasm. So it's about taking my darkness, my compulsion with sexuality, and then using it to help serve other people in a different form. When I don't do that, the dark passenger comes out, and then the addictions start to take over. It works that way. It's about channeling it. Okay, so what do you do? So there's a cost to running away from your shadow. If you think that you're here to just be happy and positive, you try to say, okay, I'm not going to do this bad thing anymore. I'm going to suppress my addictions. I'm just going to suppress my addictions and be a good boy. What happens is that ends up raging, because you can't get rid of that part of you. It's always there. It's like a dog chasing its tail. It's never going to be accomplish for you to get rid of your dark traits. It's not about getting rid of your lower mind. Your lower mind is there. So what are we to do? Well, there's a feedback mechanism that you're supposed to get from this dark passenger. It's a trigger, okay? The trigger for the dark passenger, basically, you're supposed to look at it as feedback. So what causes the dark passenger to come out? Number one, if you don't get enough sleep or self-care, then the dark passenger comes out. If you get criticized or rejected, it triggers that I'm not good enough voice of the dark passenger. So then the behaviors will start. So if you catch yourself seeking approval or getting into your addictive behaviors, kind of look back and realize that, oh, sleep or doing my self-care, which are the rituals, or I just responding to criticism or rejection, or I have an unmet expectation, like a rejection, like um, a resentment, excuse me. So you get something happens and you feel resentment. So the dark passenger basically comes with a purpose. It's giving you feedback. There's feedback. I want you to realize your darkness, that monster side of you comes back. It's basically trying to let you know one of 5 things. Number one, you're not on your mission or purpose. So you've fallen off track. Okay. So that's basically it. It comes out, it's in the driver's seat. You're like, whoa, you're not on your mission or purpose. You've stopped doing self-care. You've gotten comfortable, cocky, arrogant, or self-righteous. See, us humans, we're here to climb. Whenever you think, I've made it, dark passenger comes out in the form of self-sabotage to help get you back on track to your mission and purpose, and making you realize that you're not better than other people. Every time I think like this past year, I had a huge dark passenger. My darkness was out for months. And it was because in the wake of this past year, the success that I had achieved, I had basically assumed that I was better than other people. So the benefit of the dark passenger was to help me humble myself and realize I ain't no better than nobody. And I'm on a path as well, and I'm not above doing the work. So I'm here on this. We're in this together. And if you look at all those stars in the background there, we're one of billions of stars and solar systems and galaxies. And those are galaxies around there. You can even see Andromeda. You're just deluding yourself if you think you're better than other people. That's just a joke. Number 4, you're making it all about you again. That's when the dark passenger comes out. It's like you're making it about you. You're out of service. You're out of integrity. You're out of your mission. And number 5, you're still holding on to a resentment. So the good news is it's a call to action. You can get into action with your coach. Constantly, I have a coach because, sometimes I can't see my blind spots. And so that's why we're here. So really, it's all about you to catch yourself when that dark passenger comes out. It's a signal to take action. First thing you do is notice he or she is on the loose. In fact, what I want you to do is to have a name for your dark passenger, so that it's your alter ego, your identity. Mine's name is Nick. So Nick, in terms of the name that I came up with when I was younger, and I was really hating the fact that I was the only dark kid in a predominantly white area, white school. So Nima was difficult for people. The story I made up was that Nima was too difficult for people. I didn't want to be different. Maybe if I changed my name that sounded a little bit more westernized, that I would be more approved of. So now I have Nick as that part of me, that shadow part of me that wants attention, affection, approval, all that stuff. So that's the voice, that's the name of my dark passenger. So I'm going to encourage you to name what your dark passenger is and put it in the Facebook group. So number 1, notice that he or she is on the loose. You want to get back into your mission statement and your rituals right away, which is, the answer to everything. And you want to do an overview to identify the earlier memory this is triggering. So whatever's going on that's creating that trigger, find out what's the feeling and the interpretation. Then you go back to the reality scene and say, when did I feel this earlier? And then you go to that story again and start feeling where the opposite was and what the benefits were of that scene to your mission and purpose, and what would be the drawbacks had you not gone through that. It's a very simple 3 or 4 step process to overview it, and we're always here to support you in that. But really take it as a call to action of, wow, there goes my dark passenger again. What do I got to do? And get into action. And so the action step that I'm going to get you to do right now, we're all going to get an opportunity to love the crap out of our dark passenger. So identify what and who with a name is your dark passenger, the voice and the expression. Mine, of course, is I'm not good enough. And my expressions, anywhere from addiction to relationships and approval from women, to ego, to narcissism, to attention, fame, all of that. And what you want to do is to sit down and write down the benefits of my dark passenger to your mission, vision, and purpose. So, for example, you can use me as an example. My need for attention, which came from my perceived lack of attention growing up as a twin. My brother had more attention because he was more of a problem. So I made it mean that I'm not good enough. And so this need for attention and approval, I create videos, I do Facebook Live posts, I'm constantly posting just like everybody else, because, oh my goodness, if you didn't give me attention, then I just can't love myself. So that's my dark side. But the benefits of that is that if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have the courage to speak up and to share and to teach and to have a desire to make a difference. My desire to make a difference in your life comes from my dark passenger. I love when people love me. I'm the same as you. My dark side, that one that seeks approval, if I didn't have it and I didn't care about being liked, I wouldn't work so damn hard to make such a difference in someone's life, because I love hearing a testimonial. That testimonial is like, oh my gosh, you've made a difference in my life. Wow, that's my dark passenger. If it wasn't for my dark passenger, I wouldn't have worked so hard to make a difference. So if your job is to love your dark side, because it's a paradoxical effect. You think that if you love your dark passenger, that's going to encourage you. So wait a second, if I sit here and I write down the benefits of my dark passenger, I want you to find 50, look in all areas of life, spiritual, mental, vocational. How does your dark passenger help you financially? Well, it's helped me quite a bit. How did it help me in my social network? It's helped me quite a bit. I can connect better with people because I'm such an amazing communicator, because I want to be liked by people thanks to my darkness. Does that make sense? So what are the benefits? So if you keep stacking the benefits, you think intuitively that, oh my gosh, then I'm going to be more wanting attention and being more narcissistic and being more apt to go out and to exercise my addictions with my partner or sexual partners or whatever, or smoking or whatever it is that you do. But it causes you to actually, but loving your shadow actually causes your shadow to be at peace. It just basically, you feel integrated. That's why we integrate. That's the integration. That's getting you to love your darkness, makes you feel more whole, which causes you not to act and behave in erratic ways. You are more centered. So that's this exercise. You're going to sit down and you're going to complete this in your homework. You're going to write 50, and you will feel different. You will feel more whole, more complete, more free, more self-expressed, more vulnerable, more expressive, and comfortable in your skin when you stop running from your shadow. But that can only happen if you complete this exercise. So that is the one exercise of this part of it, of the lesson plan. It's amazing. So you want to finish by saying, what I love about my dark passenger is, and you want to include that in your affirmations. I love my dark passenger. I love my light and my shadow equally, for both serve. And so, it's kind of like me when I get up on stage now. I share, I'm an egotistical prick, and everyone's like, wow, this guy's so real. Yeah, that's right. I'm a light and a shadow, just like you. I want to make a difference in the world, but yeah, I want the finer things in life too. I don't try to hide it. That's real. Everybody can appreciate that because it's in all of us. So the next part is the fun part. It's all about conquering fear and making bold requests. So what I'm going to get you to do is to read, or for me, I listen to audiobooks. I do at least one audiobook a week, and I'm going to give you guys a list of books that I'm going to recommend from this point forward that are critical for you to really master this course. That, basically all of these materials are from the books that I read and the mentors that I have had, like John DeMartini and Werner Erhard. And this guy here was a genius. He had a problem with rejection. He couldn't take it. So he did 100 days of rejection, and he created a video blog, and it changed his life. He went and deliberately tried to expose himself to opportunities to be rejected so that he stopped fearing it. So he desensitized himself to it, and amazing things have happened. He even did a TED Talk. He's got a very thick Chinese accent, and he's not a professional speaker. He's an entrepreneur, but he's not a professional speaker, so he's not that great of a speaker, but his story is so amazing and inspiring that you got to read it. And that's what gave me the inspiration to do this class, this part of it. So conquering fear of rejection. Why is it there? This is what he talks about. It's embedded in our DNA. It comes from our hunter-gatherer days, because we require social connection in order to survive. We are interdependent. And so social isolation back in the days, in your hunter-gatherer days, basically meant death. That's why it's embedded in our DNA. When you don't get invited to a party, or you ask somebody out and they say no, it triggers those parts of our psyche and our nervous system that fear not being able to reproduce and carry our genes forward, or social isolation and not having enough food or protection. So it's a real thing. It's physiological. People's lives are, it stops. We actually stop ourselves from really living, because we don't want to hear the word no. We make the no mean something about us. So it causes us to prevent ourselves from stepping up and asking for what we want. And what Jia Jiang noticed was that his life completely changed because of his 100 days of rejection. And the very end was an incredible story. He just knew how to change rejection. So he basically got his wife, using the techniques that he used over 100 days. His final rejection project was getting his wife a job at Google. So it was like the best company to work for, hands down. So she was like, I want to work for that company. So they used the techniques of consistently going back and just consistently asking and applying again and again. She got rejected maybe a dozen times, but they kept going based on the principles of what he learned from the previous 99 days about rejection, and ended up getting his wife a job at Google. So this is just an amazing thing. You just totally redefines what rejection actually means and failure actually means. So that's what the powerfully aligned version of you doesn't fear rejection. So we're going to get a little uncomfortable this week. What if we exercise our rejection muscles starting today to overcome our dark passenger's voice of "you're not good enough"? I want you to take a moment to think, what would open up for you if you actually didn't fear rejection? If you, that little voice of the dark passenger, "you're not good enough, you're a piece of crap," what would that open up for you? So here's what we're going to do. You are going to become aware of the values and priorities of the person across from you. You're about to make some bold requests to, and you're going to think of what it is that you want in interactions with family and friends, with boss, with anyone, and you're going to start to make bold requests. So here it is. Your homework for this week is to make 10 requests, risking rejection, writing your results, and making a special note, there's another spelling error there, I'm restoring integrity, of how you were feeling and what your inner critic was saying. This is the fun part. Okay, so what do I mean? Go ask your boss for a raise. Okay, remember, you don't just go in and give me a raise. You want to come up with a case taking into consideration what's in it for them, what value they have by doing it. When I did this, I was in traffic court, and I had a ticket for speeding, and I asked the officer that was there a request. I said, I'm asking you to withdraw the charges. And he said, well, here's what I can do. I can't withdraw the charges, but I'll meet you halfway. I'll give you, no points and reduce the fine to the minimum amount. And then I look him in the eye and I decided who I was going to be. I was in a state of powerful alignment. Remember, decide who you will be and stay firm in who you are and make complete eye contact and make that bold request. I said, I'm making a bold request that you withdraw the charges because things are a little challenging at this time, and I'm really looking to clean up my driver's record, and you could be a part of something really making my day. You know what I mean? I made that bold request, and he withdrew it. So I was like, wow, I took the time to ask, and I risked the feelings of rejection, which aren't lethal, by the way. Let's assume rejection isn't lethal. You're going to be present to the feelings. What else can you do? You can ask your husband or wife for a date night or whatever. You can ask your kids to help with a project, and ask the person you've been meaning to ask out for a coffee date. If you're single, make a bold request. Make 10 of them. I want you to sit down for a moment and take a note of what is it that you would love? What do you feel's missing? What would you love more of? Somebody in your team. The whole point is the making of the bold request and to note how you're feeling. I want you to become present to the feelings that you're having. And I want you to journal your thoughts as part of your journal that you are wise to be doing each and every day as you take account for the day. And you're demonstrating demonstrations that my life is my vision is coming to fruition. You want to be sure to journal your thoughts and feelings, both good and bad, and be sure also to share in the group what opens up for you. Think big, think bold. Go ahead and risk rejection, knowing you're not going to get yeses all the time, but make a note of what you felt, what was the response, what worked, what didn't, and share it in the group. And that is it. You want to basically the 50 benefits of the dark passengers, your homework, and make 10 bold requests this week and journal it and share it in the group. God bless you. That's exactly. God bless you. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing how this session, this module plays out for you. Peace out and see you at the next perfect time.